Hey, what's going on, entrepreneurs? Today we are live here with Mr. Chris Prefontaine. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm great. Good to see you and good to hang out as usual.
Yes, sir. Good to see you as well. Last time I saw you, we were out at beautiful Newport for one of your events. It was an awesome event.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Good stuff, man. You guys put together some great events, and so
Thank
you'll
you.
tell our listeners about that at the end. Um, so today we're going to talk about real estate resilience and or I should say agent resilience, right, in a challenging market. And funny, before we started recording, I said, "Is it a challenging market?" And what did you say?
Well, I mean, what I said was because it was a knee jerk was it's challenging for some people, but for us in the creative world and any agent, frankly, that wants to build that skill set, it's a benefit. I guess I'd say that, David. Anytime there's anything changing, anything different, any turmoil, and we've got all that kind of right now, right?
Well, I mean, you have pretty high interest rates. I mean, for you and I, we've been doing it a long time, so
They
they're
seem
really
good to
not
me.
that high, are
Yeah.
they?
Yeah,
Huh?
no, they seem good to me.
Yeah,
I bought a house at
yeah.
10% when I was first married. So
10, holy cow. My first was 6.5, and I thought that was a pretty good rate.
yeah, I would
That
agree.
that, that was 20, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe 19 years ago, whatever it was. And so, yeah, I think people got spoiled a little bit, Chris,
I agree.
with 2.5 and
Two and
3%
a half
rates.
craziness. Yeah.
I'm happy about it though. I have one on my house, so I can't complain. Although it makes it tough when if you do want to do something, right? And I think that's what a lot of people are dealing with too. Like, do I sell my house and lose my 3% rate, 2.5% rate, and buy something else, or do I stick it out? Are you guys seeing a lot? I mean, that's not really your space per se, but I know you have a pretty good pulse on the real estate market.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing that. I mean, unbelievably enough, we are seeing a lot of owners that just need to bail. It doesn't mean they're in a bad spot. They just need to like let go of a second or a third home. I'm talking higher end stuff too, where they're letting us buy it with that existing rate in place and then put some owner financing on top of it. So I am seeing people have to unload some of those really cool mortgages and other people torn. Yeah, I agree.
Mm. Yeah, so I know for 2024 was a tough year for a lot of real estate agents. Being a member of the engagement committee, they were saying that only like maybe 3 out of 10 realtors even closed the sale last year. I mean, I think that I hate to say it's kind of like that it's always kind of been like that, but usually the average, 70% would close a couple deals. I guess last year there were a lot of people that just weren't able to close anything. It's kind of a tough market.
Well, for some, it was a first too, though, right? Yeah. Again, you and I have seen like a bunch of cycles, but for some, it was like, wow, what just happened? Or wow, the rates went up to an earlier point. So it is different for some brand new people, and they just got to weather through it.
Yeah. Well, the rates definitely contribute to that. Inflation has contributed to the market. I know it's kind of funny now when you buy a dozen eggs and it's like $9. I don't know what happened there. That seems like an anomaly, even with the inflation. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of things going on. Credit card debt, right? I was on a call this morning with some guys, and they were talking about credit card debt being a challenge right now for a lot of Americans.
Funny you say that. So we started about a month ago in our community with a new list, and it's just called distress. But what makes up that distress list is really interesting. It's because it predates any pre-foreclosure or anything. It's like they combine a bunch of things, late on their credit cards, late on utility, late on auto, maybe
Mm.
one late on a mortgage, but then they bounce back. So that list, that size of that list, Dave, is ridiculously alarming, because I think that a lot of those are heading to the mortgages, right? And that is definitely a bigger segment right now, anyway, for this list company we use than the pre-foreclosure. Both are growing,
Yeah.
but it's a big list.
And I mean, I imagine that really creates a lot of opportunities for what you do
Big time.
and what you do with terms. So let's talk to our listeners about that. Let's kind of explain. Well, I don't even think we did a formal bio. So just kind of tell us. I know it's funny. I always share this, but one of my first, it wasn't my first real estate transaction, but I had a multifamily, and I
I
listed
thought of
it
that
off
coming
of,
on here.
huh?
I thought about that coming on your show again.
Yeah, and I met you at it, and I didn't really know you. You had this nice big Mercedes, didn't know who you were, and I'm like, that was one of my first interactions in real estate was with you. I think it was the actual first, to be honest with you,
Was it
off of
01?
off of
It was a
Eastern
while ago.
Ave. So I got my license in December or no, I think it was November of '01. So it was
Yeah.
probably either no, December, January, February, maybe. I just got my first listing, couple months in, and I met you over there, and I showed it to you, and I said, this guy's doing something right. And then here we are, 20 years later, man.
I know. It's crazy.
So
24.
anyway, 2024. True. So you've been doing it a long time. Tell our listeners a little bit about your history and then
Yeah.
what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, and then you can peel back any piece of it. So I've been at this since '91. So I've obviously seen some cycles. I got beat up during the crash of '08 because I had a lot of properties I personally signed on, which is a no-no now in my world, meaning personally signing and guaranteeing loans. As you know, David, we started doing creative after that for a lot of reasons, not using banks in particular, not utilizing our credit. My credit was trashed after that, so I couldn't. I had no money after that, so I couldn't. So now that's how we continue to buy. And then in 2014, organically, it started catching on that people were demanding training in this world. So I think that year, I don't think I've ever told you this, but I think in that year, 14, we did like, I don't know, 12 grand in our coaching company or something crazy. And then we now have been on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies for 3 years in a row. And we're in 80 markets doing deals with students, just like you and I, where we revenue share, because I think there's a lot of garbage being marketed in real estate education, agents and investors, right? And so there's so many shiny objects. So what we do is we come in and we actually do deals with students all over the country. So it's pretty cool.
So let's break that down for our listeners. How does why would a real estate agent want to talk to you first off? Like what would be like something happening in their business that would say, okay, I need to reach out to Chris?
Yeah, I talk firsthand because, as you know, I was doing business right in where you are. And I know even though my best years, we did 100 homes a year, like 3 years in a row, I remember before I sold to Coldwell Banker. And if I think back, I know what my sell ratio was. It was like 72% of my listings. You know what I mean? So I knew all my metrics. I'm thinking, man, if I knew how to buy creatively then, I could have helped more sellers. I could have salvaged more deals. And I certainly could have created more income because there's a commission is a one check, right? And the way we exit deals, as you know, it creates a bunch of income streams. So if there's an agent, to answer your question directly, that says, all right, how about anything that doesn't fit in my box? We're like partners. We don't compete with realtors. We love dealing because if it doesn't fit in their box, we want to either teach you how to do it or refer it to someone in our community. Fit in your box meaning what? Well, someone says I can't afford to sell and pay a commission. Someone says I'm over leveraged. Someone says, look, I'm falling behind. I need to fix this now. They don't want to do a short sale, anything. It's going to expire. You just couldn't do it. Like, geez, I can't get it done. All of those things are who we talk to. And so instead of throwing it away, be the hero, be the authority, and either refer it to someone that knows how to do that or learn it, right? There's some agents in our community.
So let's talk about the expired or canceled listing as an example. Real estate agent has a canceled listing. It's probably canceled. Why? Because I mean, both of us know it's overpriced, right? I mean,
Yep.
that's typically,
100%.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you could sell anything if you price it right. But
Yep.
so how do you get involved and how do you help in that situation?
Yeah. So if we're coming in as the investor and the agent doesn't want to learn, how to convert that deal, we're gonna pay the realtor a piece of our non-refundable deposit we get from our buyer. So we'll come back to that. And what we do is we usually buy the property from the seller, either on subject to existing financing staying in place if there's debt, or a lease purchase if there's debt, or if it's debt-free, which is unlikely, but if it's debt-free and an agent has it, then we're going to do that ideally owner financing. Those are 3 ways you buy. It's just a matter of their situation, right? Everybody's a little different what their goals are for a seller.
Yeah, but how does maybe what I'm missing is the house is overpriced. Let's just say the house is overpriced or it needs a lot of work, it needs a lot of repairs, which is why it isn't selling for the price. So so you're saying you have people that will come and buy it for that price?
Yeah, so let's talk. Yeah, sorry, so I didn't pinpoint that for you. So if a realtor had it, I'm going to assume it's not grossly like 100 grand overpriced, right? I'm going to assume that it's a little bit overpriced, maybe 5 or 10%, right? If it didn't sell. So let's assume that, and then without having an example. So yes, as long as I get a long enough term from the seller, then I can get the property sold. Let me give you two examples right in you and I's backyard. So one house in Oxford, Mass, they were a little over leveraged. I'd say by about 15 or 20 grand. So they said, look, I need to move my kids to the Holden school system. I need to make this move. So I wanted to buy it subject to the existing financing because they owed every penny. There was no equity in the farm. And they said, no, I don't want to give up the deed. I said, okay, then I need to structure a lease purchase that's 9 years out because I need time for the market to come back and my principal to come down as I pay, the underlying mortgage. They said yes. So what do? I put in a buyer in that home that needs time to qualify, and I sell it slightly at a premium because remember, we're on terms. Someone can go get a mortgage is going to negotiate. Someone that needs this vehicle, this rent-to-own vehicle, they're not going to negotiate. I mean, tickle pink to get in the house. And so I just need time. And that was a true deal. I did another one just like that out in Ashby, Mass. The woman was going to Washington, D.C., good credit, good everything, was current. Just said, I need closure, Chris, but I couldn't sell it with a realtor. I think it was on for $219,900. We took it for the balance over the mortgage, which was about $213,000.
Okay, so I'm the realtor now, and my seller's saying, you know what, David, forget it. The house isn't going to sell. Just take it off the market. What do I say to my seller? How do I make this introduction?
Yeah. Okay, before you do that, I am partnered up with some investors that may have an interest in it. Are you open to different ways of getting this done without, again, knowing a house that we're talking about?
Sure. Well, I obviously want to sell it, but I want my price.
Yeah, prices are not an issue. So let's assume they have some equity for this chat right now. So if they have equity, I'd say, okay, great. Listen, before I introduce you to my investor partners, are you okay waiting for your equity if you got your full price? Can you wait over time? Or do you need that equity to go buy a house for your family tomorrow in a different neighborhood? If it's the latter, my investor partners wouldn't be interested. If you can wait for your equity, I think they can get you to your price.
Well, how long do I have to wait?
Okay, again, I'll make some assumptions, right? Because we don't know how much over. But let's just say it's only 10 grand overpriced. That you're probably going to be a minimum term of 3 or 4 years, but why don't I have the investor come in and chat with you and look at all the variables? And the reason I say it that way is you got to look at the deal holistically as an investor. That seller might say, I can't wait for the equity, but I might take some over time, right? It just, there's so many variables that can move here on a particular deal.
I swear to you, brother, I have one right now that I need to have you guys take a look
Well,
at.
I always tell you,
and then I forget though. That's the problem because I'm not. This isn't my top of mind.
Yeah.
You guys need to do a better job marketing this thing.
Well, Zach says all the time, we are definitely the best kept secret. You know why? Because we don't go out and market crazy. We know how to do deals, right? So we just the word has to get out there more. But we've been at this 12 years now, and still not out there.
Yeah. No, I have one in Shrewsbury right now, actually, that I probably should have you have a conversation with the seller.
Love to.
We've had a lot of showings, no offers. It's just kind of, it's a good spot. Just the house is, is tired, and
let's talk
he doesn't want to reduce the price. He doesn't want to.
Some rough numbers.
As far when you say rough numbers, you mean as far as what? What kind
of
numbers?
Do you want? What are you on for? What's rough round numbers? What's roughly the debt on the property?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, the debt on the property is what you're asking? Like how much do you owe?
And what's the price that you're at too?
Yeah. Well, without getting myself in trouble, I don't think I'm going to have this conversation right here just because we're streaming live and some other stuff, but I'm happy to talk to you after about it. But let's just do a dummy example though.
Hypothetical.
Okay. Yeah. Hypothetical. So, I got a property in say Chicopee.
Yep.
For instance, it's on the market for $500,000. It's not selling. Let's say it's worth it's worth $5, but it needs $75,000 worth of cosmetics. The seller just doesn't want to hear it.
Okay.
I don't care if I don't get what I want. I'll just rent it.
Okay.
Is that the type of thing that you would want to talk to? Like,
as long as it's habitable. Literally, as long as it's habitable, I will. A big market for us as part of our buyer market are the sort of the small rehabber, mom and pop, hammer and pickup truck, because they don't show great income. They're not financeable today, but they'd love to get into our rent-to-own program, get into that house and do all the work themselves. So we don't do work. We just pass it on to the eventual buyer. So that's a great example of one. But when you said the seller said I'll rent it, that's another flag for me positively, meaning I would say to the seller, okay, listen, before you rent it, put your landlord hat on and maybe risk some landlord headaches, because who knows? What if I could get you the same, if not better, monthly cash flow, but you never have to worry about maintenance? There are not too many sellers that go, no, I wouldn't be interested in that. It's a no-brainer, and we have a method to do that too. The rent-to-own method treats the buyer, the renter, in the time while they're getting financing. It treats them like a buyer. They take care of everything. All the maintenance is passed on to them. Yet the seller still gets their check. We can step away from that.
So the seller, you bring somebody in, rent it. So essentially you're operating almost like a not a management company, but kind of like a property management company in a lot of ways, right?
When we step away, we're doing a quick assignment. It's not our ideal exit, but when a landlord who's experienced or has been rented in the past, when they're experienced at that, and they go, look, I'm not intimidated by renting, I'll rent. Then I'm honest with them and say, look, the least profitable for me is if I assign you my tenant buyer, but it's the best situation for you. You'll make the most money. I'm just honest with them. If I always look out for the seller, then we win, right?
Yeah, look, we got a bunch of people on chat, man. We get about 20. So if anybody has a question, just, hey, drop your question in the chat. I see Mike said, what's up, Mike? Good to see you, sir. Mikkel, thanks for popping on. Looks like you're looking to buy your first investment property. Congratulations. So yeah, if you guys have a question for Chris or myself, just feel free to drop it in the chat. So Chris, I don't know if it's the magic question, but me as the real estate agent, do I still get paid on this thing, or how do I still get a commission if I send them over to you?
Yeah, as you know, we call it our 3 payday system that I trademarked. The first payday is the non-refundable down payment from the buyer to enter the home, and we pay the realtors up to 25% of that. Now, what's cool for the realtors, because I've got a bunch in actually in Worcester County. One of them is my nephew. When a buyer, Mike.
Oh, Mike DeGill. Got it. Okay.
So when a buyer comes in, let's say they say to us in our buyer meeting, yeah, I got 50 grand, but I can give you 20 now, 20 in 6 months, and 20 when my tax, they have a schedule with us to get vested in the home. Well, each time that happens, and the realtor gets their 25% of that. So you get a few of these in the works, and it's like an annuity on deals you may have thrown away. That's what's cool about it.
Okay. Yeah. So I definitely want to talk to you about the one I have as soon as we finish recording. I think that might be a no-brainer. Now, is that something that, like, should I be, I guess I'm thinking of it is that something that I should be looking at, is like, hey, I'm the investor on this, or do I just want to move it over to you as the real estate agent?
That's a good question.
What makes more sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have realtors that there's one in Connecticut that every year sends us 2 or 3 deals, and we probably make 80 to 120 grand on every single one of them. And he knows that deal. And he's just like, guys, it's not my lane. I'm too busy. And he's semi-retired. But there are also agents that went, hey, teach me how to do this. In my opinion, if I had known how to do this when I was an active agent in the 90s, I would have cleaned house and would have really, really enjoyed it and set up some better wealth. So I would prefer that an agent learns how to do it themselves. Hey, I'll take all the deals. We make more money, right? But frankly, because it's you, I'm going to tell you point blank, if you learn how to do it, you're going to make more. So maybe do 1 or 2 with us and learn how to do it,
Why I know it's funny. I'm thinking back to when I was honored to be a speaker at your event, not last year, the year before. And we talked about real estate agents, like why real estate agents don't do this. And I don't remember the answers anymore. But I remember my thought process on this was, I just didn't understand it. And to me, it was I don't know if it was more of a waste of time, or it was just like, I don't get it. I don't want to waste time. I just want to sell it traditionally, and that's it. Is that kind of like what you see from most real estate agents, or is there something else?
No, I get that. You're spot on. Because I think back, Dave, I mean, I was a lot less experienced, but in the 90s, I was Mike Ferry trained. And if you had come to me back then, and even though I say I wish I knew it, if you came to me back then and said, I'd be like, I got my window, I do this and that. I would have pushed them off too. So I agree. It's a hard thing to straddle. So they got to look at some of the free stuff that we do and then go, yeah, that's me. Or, hey, I'll refer it and capture another profit center. That's good too.
I think we all should know. And again, I'm glad we jumped on this podcast too, because again, it's just a refresher. and a reminder to me that, we do have, I wish I could tell you every one of our listings sells. I'd say 80% of them do, but the two that don't, maybe one of them is a deal for you, right? Maybe one of
I
them's a deal
agree.
we can do together. So
Yeah.
I just need to keep that. I do need to do a better job keeping that top of mind as well. Anything we missed, Chris? What else should we be? Anything we didn't talk about that we should have talked about?
Relative to agents, I think we nailed it, quite frankly. It's just stuff that you would throw away. Keep that in mind. And I say that, Dave, because this won't surprise you. We'll run into agents on properties who think we're literally out to compete with them. And if I could just get them on the phone and go, hey, hello, I'm just here if you need a plan B. I'm not here I don't list property. I just buy it. So let me know if I can help. That's all it is. So keep an open mind. That's all as an agent. And please keep this in mind as an agent. If you do decide to even know about it, never mind be the one that does it, you are a better authority in your marketplace. Like agents will start to know that. You'll get other like you are the authority. Picture going into a seller going, hey, all right, so morally and ethically, I'm looking at your deal, and I don't know if us listing would be the best. Maybe we can buy, so you can intelligently talk to them about what's best for them. That'll open up them and their referrals to you forever because you're being honest.
Yeah, I feel like I need to do, get more, anyway, more information, which we're going to do. What is the, what question? I had a question and I lost it. Well, first off, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah. Do you want me to throw out our book again to your audience? I'd love to give them a free book.
Oh, yeah, of course. We'd love that.
We
Yeah,
ship them too,
absolutely.
as you know, Dave. They're not, hey, get a free book, and then, oh, by the way, put your card in for shipping. This is free. You won't pay
Yeah,
anything.
it is free.
Go to wickedsmartbooks.com/persistent entrepreneur. And you'll get a couple of them, actually, not just the bestseller. You'll get a couple of bestsellers.
Yeah, I think I've got at least 3 right now that you guys have shipped to me. So super cool. What are you most excited about, man?
I'm excited about a couple of things. I told you off air, we just got off the coaches call. We meet weekly with our coaches, right? And it's so cool because they obsess over doing deals. And we start our meeting with a positive focus. As you know, you've been at our big events. And you know what the positive focus with each coach was? They're ecstatic about the new deals coming forward. And I told you before we started, it feels like 2021, the amount of deals that we're capturing for our students, that's pretty cool. It's because the media's screaming still, right? They're never right, but they're screaming. And the sellers and the buyers get a little antsy and unsure. And when they're antsy and unsure, they need a guide. And that's where we come in. You guys too, right? That's where we come in, all of us.
Yeah, 100%. So what would you say to the people now that maybe listen to this and they're still like, I don't know if that's like, they're still on the fence. What would you say to those realtors?
As far as the market in general?
Yeah, as far as just doing, contacting you and reaching out
Gotcha.
to you.
Well, I'll say 2 things. One, because now I have to, because it's in my brain, about the market. Look historically, right, in real estate, and look what happens when market changes. Not even market tanks, just market changes. Media screams. Most common people run the other way. So do you want to be in that group, or do you want to be in the 2%? Right? There's a 2% for a reason. As far as learning this or understanding how to do this, I don't know. Picture this. Picture you being known as the person that can list a house or buy a house no matter what, under any circumstances. You're going to get the calls for listings because they're going to be comfortable with that. Again, I'm talking from, I'm not licensed now. I did a lot of homes when I was, and again, if I was in that seat again, that's kind of the aura I'd like.
Yeah, 100%. Before we wrap, though, I do want to. There was one thing I want you to bring us through, and I'm going to go through it with you. Is the 3 paydays, just so that the realtors understand how this works. So payday 1 is explained, the deposit, correct?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked it because it creates a different quality of income than we're all used to than just doing listings and selling. So payday 1 is the deposit that the buyer brings to the table. Keep in mind, I'll use an example. They're in corporate America. They went and started their own business. They got money, they got credit, and they went, oops, I didn't know I'm not financeable. I need 2 years of seasoning, right? So that's a great example of they bring money to the table. It's yours to keep. Doesn't go in escrow. It's non-refundable. Payday 1. Payday 2.
Okay, 25% of the deposit.
25% of that goes to the 25% of that goes to the realtor.
So essentially that's the rent payment, correct? Is that
no,
the first month's payment?
We get 3 to 10% of the house price when we.
Oh, got it. So that's the payment. That's the payment to purchase.
Yeah, because they're not going to enter that home, or else all we get is a glorified renter. We want someone that truly is a buyer that has a down payment.
Wow.
and they're serious about buying, and they have a non-refundable deposit.
So if somebody puts down 20 grand, you're getting 25% of that. That's more than the commission you earn on the house.
Yeah.
In some cases, right?
Okay. Well, when I tell you other paydays, I'm going to tell you in every case you're going to make more. The deal we got in Connecticut from the guy the deal from Dale, we made 83 grand on that, all 3 paydays in 3 years. His commission would have been, it's about like a $300,000, so 15 grand, 16, 18 grand. So
Okay.
payday 2 is this over time now, every single month. So you start a deal, you get that one, but you also put in motion a cash flow stream, because payday 2 is you're paying something to either the seller or the underlying debt, and you're charging the buyer while they're getting their financing a monthly lease rate. And it's always higher, right? So you collect that delta anywhere between 300 and 1,000 a month per deal, though. And then payday 3 is pretty neat, because payday 3 is the markup in the home plus all of the principal pay down that accrues during the term of the tenant buyer being in there. So the average for us, I'll give averages for the realtors. Averages for us all across the country is a low of 45 grand, all 3 paydays per deal over time. Or we have a new record in February of 24 was $350,000 on it, like a $900,000 home. They're big numbers over time because of the principal pay down component.
All right. Wow. So number 1 is the deposit. Number 2 is the recurring, and number 3 is when you sell the cash out, like to sell.
Yep.
So if they sell for say 400,000, the commission's 2.5%. You're getting a $10,000 check.
Actually, when we sell, let's do an example. So say it's a $400,000 home I tied up and I sold it for 440. That sounds like I only got a 40 grand markup, right? But over the course of that 3 or 4 or 5 years, every penny that got paid down on that mortgage accrues to me at the back end. So I might have my back end 80, 90 grand.
Yeah, and see, I'm thinking like a real estate agent getting a commission, and you're thinking like the investor getting the big chunk. That's right. I got to fix my thinking. All right. Listen, man, I appreciate you. I do appreciate these conversations. You and I have known each other for a long time. You've been very, very successful no matter what the market's doing. I like to think I've been very successful as well. Well, successful. I believe I can do the long way to go, regardless of what the market's doing, because we've adapted, right? We've always shifted. And so what would you say to the people listening now that maybe are coming out of that tougher year we talked about earlier? And what would you say to those people, Chris?
Get comfortable with the market bopping and weaving, meaning learn these skill sets we're talking about, whatever pace you want, so that when the market does change, when everybody panics, you go, oh, this is good. Like, I know where to pivot. I know what pond to fish. I know what's to tell the seller. You're it. Because it's not like you got to learn this stuff every year, right? Go through the pain of learning the skill set and you got it for life.
Awesome. And one more time, they can get a book. What's your website for the free book?
Yep. Go to wickedsmartbooks.com/persistent entrepreneur.
Yeah. Don't forget to mention David, the persistent entrepreneur. Chris, again, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for your time today. And I look forward. Let's stay on. We're going to talk about that deal now.
Sounds great.